Honorable Secretary, AP Academy of Sciences, my dear colleagues, students of CBIT, and the various participants who have registered so willingly for this particular webinar come FDP series. So I thank all of you in making this inaugural session a grand success, and I wish you all the very best for the upcoming sessions from 12 eminent speakers. I wish and hope that this would be a thorough learning experience for each one of us, and I want you to enjoy each session thoroughly. Thank you very much. Today, I consider it my privilege to introduce Dr. Yusuf Akhtar, who's been working as Assistant Professor at Department of Biotechnology, Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow, UP. Dr. Akhtar has completed his PhD in 2010 in biochemistry, and he's carried out work at European Molecular Biology Laboratory, Hamburg, Germany. Sir has held various positions where, he was recognized as CSIR Research Fellow from July 2004 to May 2007. He worked on characterization of therapeutically important genes from Mycobacterium tuberculosis at Laboratory of Molecular and Cellular Biology, Center for DNA Fingerprinting and Diagnostics, Hyderabad. He is EMBO Long-Term Fellow, DAAD Research Fellow. Sir has over about 77 publications, and he's attended more than 100 conferences, seminars, workshops across, and Sir has been invited as a guest speaker for more than 12 programs that have been conducted across the globe. Sir has been instrumental in developing courses because his interest includes teaching as well. So he developed courses such as modern biology, structural biology, biomolecules, genomics and proteomics, molecular evolution, molecular diagnosis, and so on. Sir has received various awards and recognition for his contribution in the field of biochemistry. Sir is recognized for his contribution for many projects, out of which the ongoing one includes a project proposal on targeting novel prokaryotic ubiquitin-like post-translation modification pathway for therapeutic inventions against Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And Sir has also guided and supervised many PhD students under the RD program of Central University of Himachal Pradesh. Sir has also co-supervised 2 PhD students who are currently working as assistant professors in HPU and other affiliated college in Amritsar. Sir has made many presentations at seminars and conferences, and Sir has received many awards, as I've told you a little earlier, amongst which the first one is Research and Academic Excellence Award 2019 in the discipline of Life Sciences and Environmental Science by Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow, India. The Top Peer Reviewer 2019 Award in Biology and Biochemistry, Top Reviewer for Multidisciplinary Sciences 2018, Publons Peer Review Award 2017, Publons Peer Review Award 2018, Sentinel of Science Award 2016. Dear participants, the list goes on. So indeed, it's a great honor to have such an eminent personality on this webinar. Thank you very much, sir. I request you to begin the session.
So thank you, Dr. Sumitra, for giving this generous introduction. And and I want to thank organizers for inviting me for giving this talk in this faculty development program. And the topic, basically, I will talk about drug discovery. So it is more related to outcome of basically education. So outcome of education means we teach people science, and science should come up with some products, and some processes which can be used for welfare of human society. So, everybody these days talking about and suffer from this COVID pandemic around the world. So my topic will be more related to how the drug discovery processes occurs and how we can address this COVID problem using discovering drugs against this virus. So I will not take much time, and I will start my presentation. So you will see I'm now opening my slides. Okay, so as we see, okay, so it is starting. You can see the slides?
Yes, sir, I can see the sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can. So this the topic is of my title is Drug Discovery Against SARS Coronavirus 2 and COVID-19. So SARS coronavirus, basically COVID-19 is the name of the disease, coronavirus disease, and 19 comes from 2019 because the epidemic which turned into pandemic was started in China in 2019. So SARS coronavirus 2, this is the name of the virus, and this COVID-19 is the name of disease. So SARS coronavirus means severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2. So its name is like that. So because basically most of the people are suffering from acute respiratory syndrome. So there are two types of diseases. Some diseases are acute and other diseases are chronic. So acute diseases which appear at means incidentally sometime, and chronic diseases are the diseases which are basically for lifelong, like diabetes, like hypertension, like other diseases which are people have during their whole life. So this acute thing means it appears suddenly, means so it causes means even some people who have no history of bronchitis or pulmonary problems, they are suffering from, because they have viral infection, and then when it's severe, then basically many people are dying. We can see today even in India, more than 2 lakh people are infected now. So let's focus to this topic, because if we talk about this disease, then it has a lot of aspects, like social aspects and medicinal aspects, etc., etc. So if we talk about coronavirus, like actually media is playing a very bad role in this whole thing, and when this thing come into media, broken into media, then they were telling this is novel virus. So that is not the case. Actually, the coronavirus is as old as virology itself. So it is, since long we know about coronaviruses, and all coronaviruses have a big family. So like at the moment 49 species are known, and out of those 49 species, 39 species are well characterized, and 10 species are people are still trying to characterize and trying to define their all characteristics. So there are some common features. These all are enveloped viruses. So enveloped viruses, I will discuss the structure of the virus in detail. Then you will know what is this envelope is made up of. So this is enveloped virus, and it has a positive sense nucleic acid and single stranded RNA. These all coronaviruses have this kind of constituents. And genome of these viruses are very small, because 26 to 32 kilobase pair, and the particles are roughly these particles are decorated with club or petal shaped surface projections, which basically you will see these are called spike proteins. So, and its name, basically this corona, is derived from its shape and size. You can see the picture of this virus, how it looked like, and when people have seen in electron microscope first time, then they say corona, because if we talk about sun, so in sun there is a outermost layer which is made up of basically a lot of gaseous material, and a lot of we can see a lot of rays are coming out. So that outer surface of the sun is called as corona. So people when they saw this in electron microscope, they screamed that it looked like corona. So if we see, these viruses have a lot of similar viruses which are basically discovered in this in last 2-3 decades. So for example, there was a SARS coronavirus. This one is SARS coronavirus 1, and that one was SARS coronavirus. So you can see this is the first virus of coronavirus family which was found to infect humans. Before that, and causing an epidemic like condition. So in Hong Kong in 2003, there was SARS disease. It was called as SARS disease. Like this one which we are facing now, we called it scientific community called it COVID-19. But the one which happened in 2003, scientific community named as the SARS disease. That is, again, the name is the same, severe acute respiratory syndrome. So this virus, and then in 2012 there was another virus which is called Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. So this Middle East respiratory syndrome and SARS coronavirus and SARS coronavirus 2, which happened now in 2019. These all are similar viruses, and these are like relatives. Like if we say like Gandhi family, like we say Rahul Gandhi, and then uska father Rajiv Gandhi, and then Indira Gandhi. So, and there are cousins, like Menka Gandhi is auntie of Rahul Gandhi, and then there is Varun Gandhi. Varun Gandhi is cousin of Rahul Gandhi. So this is to give an analogy, like we have family, we are similar. So our genetic constitutions are similar. Similarly, these three disease-causing viruses. Other coronaviruses, means before 2003, those viruses mostly they were isolated from animals, and they were causing animal diseases. But this SARS coronavirus, which appeared, the first one which appeared in Hong Kong in 2003, that was basically first virus which was causing some significant disease in humans and from coronavirus family. So let's come to its structure in detail. So like I told that the outer envelope, these are called enveloped viruses. So if you could see my cursor, you can see the gray outer covering. Sorry. So the gray outer covering, that is basically representing the envelope, and this envelope is made up of lipid layer. So this is made up of lipid, and then you can see few proteins which are protruding out of this envelope, like this light green protein represented in light green. That this protein, based on which its name is corona, basically, as I explained, it is called as spike glycoprotein. So you know why it is called spike, means very understandable point is because like these young boys, these teenager boys, what they do, they make a spike in their hair. So it's something protruding out, something coming out, and that's why. So it is coming out when people see in electron micrograph, then they can see it is coming out. So they call it spike. So spike glycoprotein is there. Then there are other structural proteins like E protein, membrane protein, etc. And inside this envelope, so these few proteins, those are kind of spiking out from the envelope, and then inside the envelope there is you can see this light green in the left panel. If we see the representation, then the light green thing, which is basically capsid, and this capsid is made up of proteins, and all viruses have capsid, and inside capsid the viral nucleic acid is embedded. So like you can see, this RNA genome is sitting inside this capsid. So there are three major things. One is deep inside is nucleic acid, then outside that is the capsid protein, and then after that there is a lipid envelope, and in lipid envelope there are few proteins which are protruding out. So in the another graphical representation, you can see the core, which we can see blue, that is basically RNA, and this noodle like thing after the core, yellow noodle like thing, that is basically capsid of the virus. And after that, this green, sea green thing is enveloped, and the protruding out proteins are mainly spike glycoprotein, E protein, and M protein, membrane protein M. These three proteins which are protruding out from the envelope. So we know how the virus looks like. So let's come how it infects basically. So to the human cells, the virus needs two types of receptors. If then only this virus can go inside the cells, and these two receptors are ACE2 receptors, and the another one is TMRSS2 receptor. These two receptors which are present on the, I will tell you many types of cells which basically which have these two types of receptors on the surface. So these two receptors, if they are present, then virus will be recognized by these receptors, and basically with ACE2 receptor in the presence of TMRSS2 receptor, the spike protein which is present on the surface of virus, that interacts with the ACE2 receptor, and that help the virus in a receptor mediated endocytosis. So you can see what happens, what is the fate of this virus after that. So this receptor mediated endocytosis lead to the release of genome of this virus. So like I said, this genome was sitting inside after two layers. One is the envelope, and then the capsid, and deep inside the RNA is there. So this RNA comes out, RNA reverse transcribe into cDNA, and then cDNA basically makes again RNA, and transcription and translation happens, and then these all other proteins, including the capsid protein and the envelope proteins, those are embedded in the envelope. These all are transcribed and translated, and then through the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus, all these proteins are modified and post-translationally modified and processed. So these processing is required so that this virus can make assembly, and this part of the process we call it assembly of the virus. And then this virus is released. Basically, this virus is released, and there could be two types of release mechanism. One is receptor mediated release, like you can see in this figure, and then another kind of also mechanism is there where it lies the cell and comes out. So now so same thing again in this figure again is shown, and like I talked before that these 2-3 viruses are of the same family, but they uses different type of receptor. Like in the case of SARS coronavirus 2, it uses ACE2 receptor, but the MERS, that is Middle East Respiratory Syndrome virus, that uses DPP4. So these there are many receptor proteins on the surface, and here one thing people should note, that this ACE2 receptor, which is also called as angiotensin converting enzyme 2, this receptor is there for some other purpose, because so this receptor is the same receptor which is used by beta blockers. So beta blockers are one class of compound which basically given as drugs to the patients of hypertension. Hypertension means high blood pressure. So if someone has high blood pressure, so these beta blocker compounds are given, and these beta blockers goes and bind to these receptors and basically impart signaling inside the cells, and the blood pressure in the arteries goes down. So that's why in the beginning people have thought that, so okay, let's later I will come back on the drug discovery part. So if we want to design a drug against a disease, so now there will be two types of disease. One could be a metabolic disease, means it is our body itself has some impairment, some cellular system or molecular level, at molecular level something is not working. That causes metabolic disease. But infectious diseases are different. Infectious diseases are those diseases which are caused by germs, like this one. This one is a viral disease. So like bacterial disease, viral disease, or fungal disease, or diseases caused by worms. These all are the diseases which involve some microbial pathogen. So virus is also a microbial pathogen, but it is little bit different, because when it is outside the human cells, it is like a particle. It is not living. It needs viral entry, like I already explained in my previous slide. It needs viral entry in that sophisticated process, so that it can go inside and multiply, and then only it will replicate or cultivate it. But in the case of other microbes, it is not the case. Like bacteria, fungi, they are living organism outside the cells also. So if we want to make a drug against these microbial pathogens, so what could be our strategy? Basically, either we will block the viral component, or we will block the host component. So viral component, any component which basically which kills it, means viral or bacterial or microbial component, we want to block, which can kill its, which can stop its life cycle. and the host component, that biological component which basically help the virus in entry or in multiplication or in release, some process. So if we broadly divide these things, so like one could be a viral based in this case it is virus, so viral based anti coronavirus drug discovery, or there could be a host based anti coronavirus discovery, and where we should focus on these 4 points. The compound which should be a drug, it should stop fusion of virus to the host cell. That is the first process. Then there is a second process, that it should stop the replication of the viral genome. It should stop the replication of the viral genome, or it should stop the disruption and assembly. It should disrupt, basically it should disrupt the assembly of the new virus particle, virion particles. Or the fourth part, it should block, that is stop the release of new virions out of the cells. So our whole drug discovery will be focused on these. So like I told, on which cells these infection occurs. So like I already told, these two receptor ACE2 and TMPRSS2, these two receptors, if they are present on any cells, these basically these viruses can infect. So when recently, when previously people were thinking only it can infect the pulmonary cells, but recently they came to know that there are many other cells where these two receptors are present, like in the nasal passage, like in the lungs, ileum, inside our alimentary canal, and on the heart, on eyes, liver, bladder, urinary bladder, kidney, pancreas, brain, prostate, and testis, placenta. So everywhere, in all these cells, these receptors occur. Okay? So wherever these receptors will be there, so they have shown this with these dots, where these receptors. So on these all receptors, this virus can get entry into the cells. So if we talk about, because this media is doing a lot of mischievous things, and it is reporting all half-cooked, half-baked stories, and some enthusiasts, even there are some scientists, they are doing irresponsible things, and they are not doing the complete process, and they are screaming and they are publicizing their discovery. It is not discovery, because drug discovery is the long-term affair. And if we look at how drug discovery happens, then it is basically, you can see there are different steps, like identifying the disease and then identifying the component. Like in my previous slide, I talked about host component and the microbial pathogen component. So you have to define, we call it drug targets. So first you have to define well the drug targets, and it takes time basically. Then we have to search for a drug candidate or drug lead. So this whole process, and then we need to go into in vitro testing and then in vivo testing. So like in vitro we do in the test tube, and then we do ex vivo, that is we tried that on cell lines, and then we go to the in vivo test, that is in vivo test is in the animal models, and then this compound goes for pharmaceutics expert for formulation and scale up of the, means in which form it will be given to the human being. And after this formulation step complete, then it goes to human clinical trial, and in human clinical trial there is a lot of statistics available, and when it pass these 3 to 5 phases of clinical trial, and before that there is a toxicity testing. It is a long-term affair. Means it can take 5 to 10 years at least to discover one successful drug. But like this coronavirus epidemic, it started in December, and people were started doing stunts in February, March itself, that they have discovered that Hyderabad University has discovered vaccine, or these Jaipur doctors, they have discovered drug. So this kind of stunt is basically not good, and actually people who are working seriously in the field, they are also, their concentration and their attention will be diverted, and it will only do harm. It will not yield into something very solid. So with this we can, so what is the way out? So first thing is, if we want to discover, see, the vaccine thing is even more longer. Like, even if we want to talk about vaccine and a lead vaccine molecule, then it will take at least 1 to 2 years to get preliminary data that some antibody or some vaccine formulation that is a candidate. After we got the candidate, we need cytotoxicity testing, and then with safety testing, cytotoxicity safety testing, and then we need clinical trials. And for clinical trials, patients should be available. If we discover something, means we come up with some preliminary data that this could be the drug or this could be the vaccine, then we need also patient at that time. If the endemic or this pandemic will be finished by that time, then basically we will not able to test. We need COVID-19 patients, not other patients, to test that. Then only we can say it is working against this disease. For example, the 2003 epidemic happened in Hong Kong, which is called SARS. The disease is called SARS, and the virus was called as SARS coronavirus. This one again is not to be confused. This virus is called as SARS coronavirus 2, and this disease, which is ongoing pandemic, its disease is called COVID-19. So now what happened, if you check the WHO website and SARS disease profile, you will find that they have written no drug is available, no vaccine is available. Because after 2003, when we have lead molecules as vaccine and drugs, we did not have any patients, because that happened in 2003 and never reappeared, and this time it is reappeared as a new virus, as a change virus, as a hybrid virus. So it is a complicated process, and when you have no patient, you cannot test it clinically basically, and then you cannot get approval, and you cannot even drug companies will not put money because there is no patients at all who will buy their drugs. So what is the quick way basically? So quick way is repurposing, and there are few different types of repurposing. I will talk about them in the next slide, but here you see in recent media reports, there are few molecules which are touted as drug against this COVID-19. But actually, the status is like that. Let me explain you. So, USA President Donald Trump, he said chloroquine and hydrochloroquine, he touted this as a drug, and he don't know about medicine, even ABC, how drug discovery happens. Neither he is a biomedical scientist nor he is a medicine person, medical doctor. So he should take good suggestions and advice from his advisors before putting these things in media. So basically, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine, these two drugs are anti-malarial, and hydroxychloroquine is also anti-rheumatoid arthritis. So the advantage, if we use already the drug which is already in market, we have an advantage, and that advantage is we don't need to do cytotoxicity safety tests. We need to do clinical trial, but we don't need to do safety trials. We need to do clinical trial for in the patients of that particular disease. Like in this case, like these drugs are touted. These drugs are well-known drugs against malaria and arthritis. So we need to do clinical trials for COVID-19 now. But cytotoxicity and safety trials, cytotoxicity testing and safety trials, we don't need to do. So 3-4 years we can save basically. But if we look at so it needs time to test it basically in clinical trials. So there is no evidence, and politicians and media, they don't understand science, and they should understand, otherwise they will miss the point and common public will not able to know the truth. So there is no definitive evidence that these have antiviral activity. Yes, these molecules were found, but only in the in vitro testing. These molecules were found to be effective against viral entry. So they disrupt binding of virus to the receptor, and the other good effect they show is calming down the immune response. Because what happened when the virus, so I didn't describe that. When the virus enters in the pulmonary cells, there is a huge immune response. So our own body produces a lot of immune response because of viral infection. When virus increase the numbers, then basically when they multiply and come out, then they produce a lot of immune response, our body, to save our body. But what happened, this immune response create a kind of immunological flood, and this flood basically leads to autophagy and autoimmunity kind of situation, where our own immune system, immune cells and immune effectors, they start eating up our pulmonary cells. So these molecules are found effective to suppress this immune response. So in a way it can help, but this is a general response, and as such pinpointed antiviral activity is not achieved by these molecules. So it needs clinical trial, then only one can say that these are the drugs. And another molecule is like remdesivir. So this remdesivir is basically antiviral compound which was discovered against Ebola virus. So Ebola virus is also an RNA virus which caused a lot of deaths in Africa. But the good thing is its infectivity is pretty low if we compare with the SARS coronavirus and SARS coronavirus 2 also. So its infectivity is very low. That's why it was contained in 1 or 2 countries in Africa and never become an epidemic or pandemic kind of situation. But it is a very lethal virus basically. So all these RNA viruses have viral replication machinery similar. So it blocks the RNA transcription. And also there are chances that it may also suppress immune response, same like chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine. But these claims are yet to be tested in the lab as well as in clinical trials. Then another molecule which is touted as a coronavirus anti-coronavirus drug is Flavilavir. Favilavir. Its name is Favilavir, and this is a known drug against influenza. In China and Japan, they have approved. So approved because I wrote approved between inverted commas, because there is no clinical trials data available from China and Japan. Why they means what should be the basis of this approval? So that is not publicly available. So till these data are publicly available, we have no idea. But this is influenza kind of virus. Yes, it is similar to that virus. So it is possible that it can work against it, but it needs clinical trial to be called as a drug against coronavirus and to be 100% sure. So if we look another molecule, there are a lot of molecules which are in hand now. So like drugs and biomolecules previously reported to active against related coronavirus, like I said, it is called as drug repurposing. So like SARS coronavirus, so there are 98 drugs and natural compounds which are available, and I have given these clinical trials, partial clinical trials link where the data is available for partial clinical trial against SARS coronavirus. So SARS coronavirus means that previous virus. So only partial clinical trial was done because the SARS patients are not available basically. Then there is the second another group of compounds which are having 25 targets. So again, remember how I defined host-based targets and microbial pathogen-based drug targets. Drug targets means those components which we need to block. So there are 393 substances which were able to interact 25 targets of 6 different coronaviruses, including these 3 coronaviruses which I talked earlier in my introduction. Okay? So these are candidate compounds. Then there are compounds which inhibit autophagy. So there are 406 compounds that inhibited and 802 compounds that activated autophagy. So these all are candidates, and it needs a lot of research and trials. Then we will know out of these which one could be pinpointed to be act as drug. So chloroquine plus azithromycin. These two are basically, one is anti-parasite or anti-malarial, chloroquine, like we talked, these Professor Donald Trump's choice of drug. So this is Plasmodium, and the azithromycin is antibiotic or antibacterial. So these both also have both have anti-autophagy activities. So these also can help in this disease. But again, detailed investigation is needed. Then another class of compound is human proteases. Basically, there are a lot of, like I showed, when the viral proteins are translated, then basically these are processed in the host or human cells, endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus. There are a lot of human proteases. So there are 12 human proteases which help these viral proteins to become mature, and so that the assembly of virus could be possible. So these 12 human proteases could be good drug targets. If we block those, then basically SARS coronavirus spike protein cannot be proteolytically processed, and this, if it will be not proteolytically processed, it will not be decorated on the envelope of the coronavirus, and if it will be not decorated on the envelope of the coronavirus, it will not able to interact with the receptor, and then there will be no viral entry. So these are also good candidate drug targets. Then there is a last one, drug targeting receptor mediated endocytosis and viral budding. We have seen there are 4 steps, enough. So the first one and the last one. So first one is these receptors which help. So which are these receptors? These are first 2 receptors are those where these viral proteins interact with the mammalian proteins, and then there are receptor mediated endocytosis. Then there are other human proteins involved, and then at the last step, when the virus is budding out of the cell, then another set of proteins, which are human proteins, are used in this process. So there are 50 human proteins they have shortlisted, which basically several of these proteins such as AAK1 and GAK1 are druggable. So druggable means against them drugs can be designed. So like 50 human proteins they have shortlisted, against which if we design inhibitors, there is a potential that we can get some activity against the disease. So with this, I would like to thank the organizers, and I would like to thank my research team and my institutions where I worked, and the agencies from where we get funding. And with this, I want to give you all the best, and may your future will be bright, and you will become a very good entrepreneur or a technologist or scientist, and you will discover, and you will do the work of nation building. You will make our nation strong. And with this, all the best, and thank you very much.
Dear participants, it's indeed a rare opportunity that we get to listen to such eminent speakers, and I personally thank Dr. Yusuf Akhtar for accepting our invitation and being a part of this webinar and enlightening all of us with his profound knowledge and words of wisdom. Sir, your session was full of passion and it is priceless. We consider it a great privilege to have listened to you today, sir. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences and enlightening us with the knowledge. Thank you very much, sir.